have something in your resume that will help you stand out. So I would recommend everyone, don't follow any hype, because for any hype there is going to be a peak and then it's going to come down. Okay.
Yeah.
But after it comes down, if you realize that this is something which I don't want to do, you would have like lost on a number of months. I think I don't ever recommend someone buying such expensive courses, because I know that for many people it's very difficult to afford. Instead, there is enough material on YouTube. You just need to start.
Hi everyone, this is Sumanth. In this video, in this podcast episode, we just have Ishan Dutta with us. He is currently a machine learning engineer at a startup, and also he just worked at multiple IITs as an intern. Like he just worked at IIT Ropa, IIT Kanpur, and also he just worked with NVIDIA, right? So in this episode, he will just share his journey, like how he started learning ML. So what are the difficulties that he just faced, and also he just explained how to cold email recruiters and as well as the professors for research internships or let's say for jobs. And also he just explained how you should create a resume, right? Some of the tweaks that he just followed to get internships wherever he just applied. So he will just share his entire journey in this video. Believe me guys, this is such an amazing and quality conversation, and also I'm sure that the time you're just spending on this video is worth. So before starting this, so if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, make sure to subscribe and as well as like this video, and also share your comments, like what you just feel about this episode, and anything that you just want to share, make sure to comment down below. And yeah, without further delay, let's start this.
Yeah, first let's explain like what are you doing currently, like where are you from, just a bit introduce yourself.
Yeah, hello everyone, and thanks Sumanth for bringing me over here. So this is Ishan Dutta this side. Currently, I am a final year undergraduate student at Bharati Vidyapeeth University, Pune. Along with that, I am also a full-time machine learning engineer at Metadome AI, which is a startup based out of Gurgaon, India itself. I have been into the field of AI for about 2.5 years now, and I have worked in done an intern at multiple places, including 2 different IITs, NVIDIA, and I'm also the global brand ambassador of Jarvis Labs AI and a dev expert at Weights and Biases.
Yeah, that's a good introduction, Ishan. Yeah, first let's start with like you said that you were just into this AI field from 2.5 years, right? So what interested you the most, Ishan? Which part you just interested, like whether the algorithms or let's say the applications in AI. So which part you interested you the most, which led you into this field?
I think the very first AI project that I started with, something struck that, okay, it's almost like doing magic. Okay, so you are basically predicting things based on algorithms and data which is there in the present or the past. You are predicting what will happen in the future. Okay, so that was something which really struck me that, okay, this is also possible with AI today. Before that, I had a very different notion about AI. But when I dwelled into the field, I also was lucky enough to get a few good mentors at the beginning itself. So they helped me a lot. They recommended me a couple of things. One of them was to stick with Kaggle. So there are so many good problems that keep on coming on Kaggle. Looking at those problems, what kind of things that AI is currently capable of doing, and you can actually build all those things from your home. So that these were some of the things which really interested me into getting into this field.
Yeah, definitely. Like you are from electronics, right? Electronics background.
Yes, electronics engineering.
Yeah, I'm also from electronics background.
Okay.
Yeah, how you can just relate AI into this electronics field, Ishan? Like what are the applications you just feel that we can just able to, since we are just from EC, right? So definitely we should able to implement AI in this electronics also.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah. Like what are the applications you just feel like we can able to do and we can able to improve?
Let me tell you about my final year project, because it's actually a combination of AI and electronics in itself. So our project was based on NLP, and it was a kind of a question answering system. It's based on the Chai-1 dataset that's also available on Kaggle. It was a competition there. So we already had built good models, which were giving us good results. Now we wanted to incorporate electronics in it. So our teachers at our department suggested that you can actually convert it to a speech processing kind of project. Okay. So that instead of giving your input in the form of text, let's make it kind of more interactive, that you can give your inputs in audio and receive your outputs in audio itself. So for that, we had included and we had an entire speech processing part using Raspberry Pi and all, which we included in the project. So finally, it became a very well-shaped project with a combination of AI as well as electronics. So there are many cool things that you can actually think of. If you combine both of these things, I think many people, even on LinkedIn, they keep posting projects, which is a combination again itself. So yeah, there are a number of opportunities. Like, it's up to you how curious you can be and how much you are willing to explore.
Yeah. That's true, really true, Ishan. Like, even I'm just working on the video compression part, like the like we just have this encoding methods like the H264, 265, this compression algorithm. So just trying to implement the RNN part into this video compression. I'm also into this implementing AI with the electronics.
Yeah,
so that's a great explanation, Ishan. Yeah, I just seen that you are a Kaggle. If I'm not wrong, you're 2x master, right?
I'm a Kaggle master, 1x master, and 2x expert.
Yeah. Like, I've seen, I'm like, from that itself, I can understand like the hard work that you just put in to become a 2x master. So what's your journey in the Kaggle, like from novice to 2x master? Like, how can you just define, like, how can you just explain
It's
your
actually
journey in
like
Kaggle?
1x master. I'm currently master in the notebooks category, but have a competition medal as well. So initially, when I began Kaggle, I used to find the competitions really, really tough, even just to approach the code. If you go on any ongoing Kaggle competition now, if you see any good notebook, you will find that, okay, there is so much written in it. How do I understand? Because not every time people have explanations with their code. So that was something which I was facing problem with. So I picked up some competitions which had already ended. Okay. And I used to read through their solutions. So in the discussion part, solutions for every competition is given. So after spending a couple of months, I started to figure out, okay, these are the kind of competitions which are kind of related. Okay. So for example, let me give you an example of a topic called as metric learning. Okay. Metric learning is basically, let's say I give you two images and you have to find the similarity between two images. So there are many different methods. Like, the simplest one can be finding the cosine similarity, what is between there. Then a popular loss function, or you can say algorithm, there is arc phase that is there. So I started to look into these algorithms. These were in the Google landmark competition. That was back in 2020. Then when 2021 came, I realized, okay, so again, there is a Google landmark recognition problem. There is a retrieval problem. And there was a Shopee competition that was there. Okay, so these were all revolving around this topic itself. People were using similar algorithms. And when you start connecting different problems to similar algorithms, that's where I think the main learning happens. Because it's very easy that if I give you a problem, a data set, and I tell you that this algorithm will work on that and you use it. The main key is, if I give you an algorithm and you can tell me 5 different applications of the same algorithm. Okay. So that's when I started to realize that it's not about that the code is tough or so. It's about how much you are willing to stick to it. So what I used to do in the beginning was I would fork some good notebooks. Okay. And I would execute them line by line. If they were like, even at the point, if I could not understand, I would even write the code line by line. Okay. So that would be like hundreds of lines of code in 2-3 different notebooks. I would write every line till I understand why has something been there. And of course, Googling is a skill that comes up in the process. So, and there are many like amazing, the Kaggle community is really amazing. So even if you are a completely beginner, you drop in a question in the discussion section, there will be many people to help you. And I'm not just talking about people who are just in expert or master level. People even who are competition grandmasters will help you. Like, I remember initially I used to tag Chris Dewitt, who is also a multiple like Kaggle grandmaster, in some of my questions, and he would actually answer those questions. Okay, on Kaggle itself, and some of them were like really, really basic. So for me, Kaggle has been like, I always don't get a chance to compete end to end because these competitions are really long. But I always give it a try that I solve the problem on my own. Okay. So I am on my end upskilling with every competition that is there on Kaggle. So if you ask me like about any competition, I can tell you that these were the top solutions. These were the top approaches that were there. And this is why the top 10 teams were differentiated than the top 100 teams. So this is something which I always keep on reading. And even in my sessions, I recommend people to go through all those solutions at least.
Yeah, that's really cool explanation, Ishan. Yeah, definitely. Like I can see that getting good score, or let's say being in top 10 in that competitions, it's not an easy thing, right? So like,
Yes,
what are some of the tips that you just followed? If you are just willing to share it with us, like it will be good. Like, what are the some of the tips that you can just share to become like the top 10 or let's say top 5 in order to rank in that?
See, I personally have never ranked in like top 5 or 10, so I can't directly give advice on that. What I can give advice is start early in the competition. Okay, so the earlier you start, the easier it is going to be, because let's say the competition is for 2 to 3 months. If you start earlier, you will start seeing that, okay, in the first week, these are the ideas or algorithms were there. What happens on Kaggle is, if you are participating at the end of, let's say, 2 months, there is 1 month left. In the code section, you are going to find a number of different approaches to the same problem, and it will be difficult for you to figure out like which one is the good approach, okay, which is a new approach, which one is working, which one is not working. So just to figure that out, your 1 month will go. So if you start early, you will see what people have started with. Okay, these are the algorithms that I can start with. Okay, so I started with this. Then you will see that a number of times it happens that someone comes with a different baseline or benchmark. Okay, and overnight the leaderboard just turns and everyone is using that benchmark and building their solutions on top of that. So to understand why that benchmark worked, why that algorithm worked, if you are starting very early, you can follow through everything step by step. Even if you are not in the like top 5 or 10, you are going to learn a lot just if you give at least 1 hour. Winning a competition, even getting into the gold or silver zone, is going to take a lot more time. Okay, you can't just be like 1 or 2 hours a day. It has to be a lot more. It has to be like when I won my first medal, I was giving almost the entire times in my weekends. Okay, so it was all about Kaggle at that point of time. But you should stick with it as much as possible. Secondly, a number of Kaggle competitions that are there. As I told you, some of them are really annual kind of thing. For example, the Google Landmark competition I was talking about, it has been hosted for like last 2 or 3 years. So you can also refer to those solutions, see what worked in the previous solutions and what is different in the current data set, if there is something or not. Okay, if there is different, then actually, first of all, you can start trying out those solutions that were already there and try to build your basic like baseline models based on them. And using those ideas, you can keep on building up and also add ideas that are there from the current competition. These are some 2-3 things that people can usually use.
Yeah, that's really a great addition. I just related to it. Like, even if you didn't rank in top 5 or 10, you just start participating in the competitions. Definitely, it will just help you, right, to understand what the others are doing, like to understand their code. It will be really helpful. Yeah, I can relate to that question, Ishan.
Even if like people can build the pipeline, right, to solve the problem, and they can understand the metric, they can build the entire pipeline. Even that in itself is a like big learning progress, because the competitions, the challenges that are there, they're very varied. So you will actually get a taste of from NLP to computer vision. So at least learning how to build those pipelines is like very, very important.
Yeah, and also I just mentioned, right, Ishan, like I just done internships in IITs as well as the NVIDIA weights and biases.
Yeah.
So all these internships, right? So what you can just say to someone who just want to apply for off-campus internship, like, and also I just if I'm not wrong, I've just seen your mentorship like the information, like what you just provided. You just said that whatever the internship I just applied, I used to get selected, right? You just mentioned in that. Like, what are some of the tips that you can just give? Like, if you want to share, definitely you can just share it with us also, Ishan.
See, even in my sessions also, I always talk about that. Have something in your resume that will help you stand out. Okay, what that can be. For example, if you are from a very good college, let's say an IIT or BITS Plani or something like that. So that stands out. It shows that you are someone who is consistent with hard work. Okay, let's say if you're not from that kind of a college. Secondly, what can help you stand out is if you already have prior internship experience from a good place. That can stand out. If you don't have, if you are applying for first time internships, then at least if you have 1 or 2 very good projects in depth. Okay, if you can talk about that. Let's say you have decent level projects, but not something which is very good. Okay, then do you have any hackathon ranks? Okay, like initially I used to compete a lot in machine hack and analytics vidya and all. So I had a number of like in top 10, 20, I had a number of ranks in them. So that was something, okay, that you can have. Even if you don't have, you can do a research project with your any of your professors in your college itself. Okay, and then you can have that as a project. So these are so many things that I told you. Even if you have at least one of them in your resume, then it increases your chances significantly, because you just can't have a plain resume that, okay, I have some 1 or 2 beginner level projects. I have never participated in any hackathon or done anything like different. Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to work in any internship that you work, be it a research internship, be it at a startup or at an MNC. Everyone is looking for people who have done something different than the regular thing, because there are hundreds of people applying for the same. Okay. So, and if you ask me for websites and all, for startups, I always prefer angel.co, or Internshala is also there. That's also good enough. Then Indeed is there. And the best one is LinkedIn in itself. Okay. So you can actually search for startups. In the startups, in the company's page, there is a job section there. You can find out what are the different jobs over there. In intern, if you just type in machine learning intern in the LinkedIn search bar, you are going to get a number of internships that are there. Reach out to someone from that company, understand more about that job role, ask them for a referral if that's possible. Okay, for research internships some of the IITs, they put out like IIT Roorkee some time back, they had already posted it on their website regarding their internship. Or you can also reach out to professors by emailing them. Okay. And by emailing, this also works in if you have to reach out to someone outside of India for a research internship. So all of these things, like any of that, whatever clicks for you.
Yeah, that's really awesome, Ishan. Like you just shared everything. I think so. Like what you just followed everything. Previously, I just mentioned like you're just doing the mentorship session as well, right? Like like what are the things that you can just share to someone? Like why you just started that like whether to start or to explain to help others to get into this field, or let's say to like there will be some motto, right? Like for starting this mentorship program, like what's behind that?
See, what happened, Sumanth, as I was working towards building my skills in machine learning, I was also working a lot on improving my LinkedIn profile. Okay. And like I had a certain goals that these are the number of followers or connections that I want to cross on a monthly basis. Okay. So as the number of followers kept on increasing, the number of messages a day also kept on increasing. Okay. So after a point of time, it was really tough to respond to everyone. And I realized that after a point of time, the questions that people usually ask are kind of same. So if there can be a platform,
like the repeated questions, right? The same
repeated questions only.
Yeah,
okay. Yeah. So initially I used to actually like write long paragraphs. This is what you can do. This is what you can do. Okay. If you are good at this, then try out this, and so on and so forth. It was like really personalized. But at the end of the day, you don't have that much amount of time or energy to respond to everyone. Right. So what I did was I also wrote a small discussion post on Kaggle, which had everything in it that most people could have followed. I started to share that link with people if someone would reach out to me, but I realized that this might not be that much effective. Okay. So then I came up with the idea and I started out with a 1-to-1 sessions. That was the fee. I kept it really low at that time, just to see how things go. And I started receiving very positive feedback. Like a number of people did end up getting internships, and at the end of the day, they had a clear path that, okay, this is what I have to do. And they had the conviction behind it that this is what that can be done. So I structured that in a more proper format. And then I started doing it on a monthly basis with a number of people together. So till now, like I have done more than 500 people, like more than 5 different countries. People have been there from USA, Canada, even Bangladesh itself. Okay. And a number of different places, different kind of people, multiple different time zones coming up for just 2 hours. And yeah, it has been really amazing till now. And the feedback has always been positive. And I've always asked people that if you have something to add. A number of people gave a lot of good feedback, which I kept on adding on a monthly basis in my sessions. And yeah, it has been improving ever since.
Yeah, that's a great initiative, Ishan. Like starting something to help others, right? That's really a very good initiative. Yeah, definitely. Like what you just mentioned, today definitely there is a little bit more hype about data science, right?
Yeah.
Then like what you just talk about this, like what's your opinion on this, like the hype about data science?
I think the hype has reduced a bit now around machine learning. It has gone more into Web 3.0, blockchain and crypto side. Okay. But what I have realized over the last 2 years, I joined machine learning before the hype had even started. What I have realized is that you have to explore different things. Like I had been into programming since 11th standard. I had CS in my plus two. So I learned C++ from there itself. In my first year, I explored almost everything that comes under like computer science, any of the fields that I could have been. I spent a month or two in everything to know what is there. And then only I decided that, okay, ML is something which I'm really interested in and I want to be the best at it. Okay. So I would like recommend everyone, don't follow any hype, because for any hype, there is going to be a peak and then it's going to come down. Okay. But after it comes down, if you realize that this is something which I don't want to do, you would have like lost on a number of months, which you could have used to build a different set of skills. So instead of going for the hike, in most of these jobs that come under computer science, be it in the form of SD developers are there, then React developer is something which is really in demand right now. Okay. Or in the ML field, okay, then there's NLP engineer, computer vision engineer. So any of these fields, you try out different things, you talk to people who are working in this. Okay. And then you will realize that if you can build the right sort of skills, getting a job won't be a problem for you. Okay. So at the end of the day, it depends what you are interested in. Don't follow a hype or anything of that sort, because as I said, the hype will come down someday. And that day you should not be the person who should think that, okay, I uselessly wasted my time a year. So instead of that, try different things, talk to more people, network with more people. LinkedIn is a great platform. Twitter is a great platform. Know what actually that job profile means. Okay. Like if you are going to be an SD, so know what it actually means, what people actually do in that kind of a job, and then only decide. And after that, you can follow through and keep upskilling.
That's really valid points that you just talked, Ishan. Definitely most of the startups which are currently emerging, they're just catching this hype for the data science, and they're just creating courses for lots of money, and they're just scamming, right? So what's your opinion on that? Like what you will just advise for who just want to start learn data science? Like, is there any free resources which you just follow? So what's your opinion on that?
See, I myself started from free courses itself. Okay. So if you go on Coursera, you can look out for a number of courses. If you're just beginning, you can start with the IBM Data Science Professional Certificate. On Coursera, you can access the videos for free. Okay. Or you can also apply for a financial aid. So in that course, it's like I think there are 8 to 9 courses within that. It starts from very, very basic, like as basic as what is data science. So it starts at that level, and it also has a lot of Python programming in between. So it's I think, complete packaged course. And secondly, there is a very good machine learning course by Andrew Ng. It's by Stanford University. It's also available on Coursera. So this is a good starting point. If you have a bit of basics in Python and all, you can also explore Kaggle a bit. Spend some time. It's not necessary that you are directly competing in competitions, but at least try out the Tabular Playground series type of competitions, or any other knowledge-based competitions that are there. Kaggle itself has some courses in it. It's also available for free, where there are very small courses, but they are really, really to the point. Okay, so you can try out that. These are some of the things that you can start initially. And as far as these expensive courses are there, I don't really recommend that, because see, at the end of the day, this is about problem solving. How good at you are at problem solving. If you are not able to solve the problem of yourself getting the right set of resources, how can you think of solving a problem which will be 10 times or 20 times tougher than this? Okay, so learning starts with you finding what is right for you and what is it that you need to know. Okay, so this is, I think, I don't ever recommend someone buying such expensive courses, because I know that even for many people, it's very difficult to afford. Instead, there is enough material on YouTube. You just need to start.
That's a valid point that you just mentioned, Ishan, like the problem solving. So even if you just take around a 50,000 course, or let's say 1 lakh course, if we don't know like how to tackle a particular solution, how to approach a particular problem statement, that's useless, right? That's a very, very valid point, Ishan, that you just mentioned.
Because see, most of these courses are basically revolving around spoon feeding. So you will be given a problem, you will be given the solution. You will be told that this is the data set, this is the algorithm that you can use, and everything is very, very like certain and structured. Okay, but in real life, especially in machine learning and in data analytics, things are not that structured. So just to change that mentality and getting from such a structured curriculum to working on something that is very unstructured, it becomes very tough for a number of people. So a lot of people, even like when they message me on LinkedIn, they mention that, hey, I have done so and so courses and all. But when I try to compete on any competition, be it on like non-Kaggle competition or machine hack analytics vidya, or if I try to make a project, I'm not able to, level up or skill up. So that's one gap which I always see. So even in my sessions, like I always recommend free resource to people. Second thing is that there are a number of good books in machine learning. So not a lot of people talk about books in machine learning. There are a lot of good books. For example, if you're just starting out, there's a book called as Hands-on Machine Learning with Scikit-learn and TensorFlow. It's by O'Reilly Publications. You can check that out. If you are into deep learning, so if you want to learn with Keras, so there is deep learning with Python. It's written by the creator of Keras himself. If you are into PyTorch, then you can go for deep learning with PyTorch. It's written by the creator of PyTorch. Then if you are more into like computer vision, so there's this book by PAC Publications called as Modern Computer Vision with PyTorch. That's a great book. Okay, in NLP, I think it's best that you start with Kaggle itself, because in NLP, the models are so well made, okay, that if you know, especially the working of transformer architecture and all, a lot of things already get cleared in that. So in that, I always recommend for NLP, start from the research side of it, like read papers, read the algorithms, and then go for it.
Really valid points that you just mentioned, Ishan. Like when you just come to NLP, it's not about building it from scratch. We just want to know like for which algorithm we just want to use. There are a lot of pre-trained models as well, like the Hugging Face, all the pre-trained models.
But if you really want to get into the depth of something, it's always good that you build that from scratch. Many people, when they ask me, I want to get good into computer vision, I always recommend that start from very basic model like AlexNet and all. They have just 5 layers. Build it from scratch. Okay, then go higher. Let's say you build VGG16 network on your own, okay, by defining every convolutional block yourself. Then defining, basically, let's say you go to ResNet 32. Okay, so start building these models from scratch. Pre-trained is already there, okay, but to understand what exactly is happening, if you are able to implement it from scratch once, you are going to always remember it. Why is VGG different than ResNet? What is skip connection? Okay, what is actually happening at the core? So that is something which I always recommend. Even a friend of mine, when I was talking to him about transformers, so he said that the best way that he was able to understand every underlying thing under the transformer architecture was by implementing it from scratch a number of times till he became clear. Okay, so if you can follow that approach, your understanding and a logic building, that both of them will be really, really like better than the people who are directly using pre-trained models.
That's where this like the Andrew Ng course, right? The deep learning.ai course, where they just
that is also
from scratch, like how can you just implement the complex models using this NumPy or let's say some basic computations or this normal Python, right?
Yeah, they actually in that course as well as the machine learning course, the math part is very, very good. Okay, it's something not which if you are following through from the beginning, it will, I won't say it easy, but it won't be very difficult for you to understand till the end if you are following through everything and you keep on revising. So at the end of it, the math part also becomes very clear to you.
Really, Ishan. Like, I just want to know, like you're just into this field around 2.5 years. So I just want to know some of the mistakes that you just done when you were just starting learning data science. So it will be useful even when the freshers who are just starting to learn. It will be useful for them. Like they don't need to do such mistakes, right? So it will be helpful if you just share them.
I think it would have been better for me if I would have picked up a couple of books earlier when I was starting, because I think the kind of books that are available currently in machine learning, they are way more better than any course that is there. Okay, so that would have saved me a lot of time. That was one thing. Secondly, I think if it would have been better for me if I would have started with projects early, like 1 or 2 courses would have been enough. See, what happens is when you start doing a course in machine learning and if you're a completely beginner, you fall in a course loop. Okay, so you will keep on doing one course after the other, one course after the other, and in your mind it will be like, okay, I have done 5 courses, So I have learned so much. But when it comes to applying the same thing to a very different scenario, you get stuck. Okay. And that is something which I started to face. So I always recommend people start with a couple of courses, a couple of videos that can give you a foundation, and then dive into a project. Okay, because the earlier you start applying things, the faster you are going to learn. And secondly, I think hackathons and all I picked up at the right time, because hackathons actually sped up my learning curve a lot. Something even I remember it very clearly. There was this hackathon on D2C that was based on time series. It was a weekend hackathon, just 2.5 days were there. And at that point of time, I did not know anything about time series. Within those 2 to 3 days, I learned almost all of the important models that come under time series. And I really got a decent rank under that. Okay, so something which I used to think that, okay, this will take time, or maybe a month, I will do some course, I will watch some video and then go for it. I did that in 2 to 3 days. Because that's what happens if you are working in like competing in hackathons. So I think if I would have started that even a bit more earlier, so things would have been faster.
Yeah, like it's a fun interaction with you, Ishan. Like, oh, like let's last one thing that you just want to say to the viewers who are just watching this video. One last thing that you just want to say.
I would only say that try to stand out. Okay, have something within yourself. I already mentioned what are the points you can utilize to stand out. And whatever you do, try to get into the depth of it. Like no recruiter is actually looking to have 10 projects in your resume. Yeah. Even if you have 2 projects, but they are really in depth and you could at least talk 10 to 15 minutes about those projects, it shows that the kind of depth you have. Also, while in an interview, it's not always about what are the things that you have done right. So if you're talking about a project, then you can also talk about the things that went wrong, okay, and how you were able to solve them. That's actually problem solving. So whenever talking to anyone, always have that problem solving attitude. Always try to pick up problems that are above your level. Okay, then only the real upskilling is going to happen. And do less projects, but in depth instead of a lot of projects, but superficially.
Yeah, that's good, Ishan.
So yeah, that's all for this video. So with that, I will just see you in the next video. Until then, take care and thanks for watching.